Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy Friday to you wherever you are. Welcome. Today we're talking about the observer effect and how the observer effect frees empath from narcissistic abuse. So this is what we're going to go over today. Welcome in the observer effect. This is our focus today. We're talking about the observer effect, how empaths can escape, in fact, narcissistic abuse with the observer effect. So this is the focus of the conversation today. Welcome in. Very excited to be here with you to go over and go through the observer effect, right? Observer effect. So welcome in. Welcome in. Today we're talking about the observer effect and how to use the observer effect to escape from narcissistic abuse. So very excited to go through this with you and so really expand into great detail. What is the observer effect and how does it free you from narcissistic abuse? Hi Maya, how you doing? Welcome in. The observer effect with additional details. Hey, Voki Belonging, greetings. Hope you're doing well. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. Hi, Lucy. Welcome in. Everyone who's joining, welcome in. Today we're talking about the observer effect. The observer effect. How to escape narcissistic abuse with the observer effect. Hi, Wendy. Glad you're here. Hi, Ellie. Always good to see you. And we're going to go into this with great detail. This is not going to be just a regular conversation. This is about a discussion that shows how your observation brings life, and so how you effectively use the observer effect to overcome narcissistic abuse. This is what today is about. And we're just waiting for people to gather and we can go into more details. Hi Trisha, welcome. We're going into, I understand the hustle, I get it, and I'm glad you're making time because this is all part of the hustle to break out of the hustle, right? The hustle to break out of the hustle, right? If you get that. So today we're going into the observer effect. How the observer effect frees you from narcissistic abuse, right? How the observer effect frees you from narcissistic abuse. Yeah. And just to kick us off, I've got playing in the background Lucid Girl from the Sacred Souls, the Sacred Souls from San Diego. This is how it started with some lucidity. So for everyone who's here today, we're talking about the observer effect, right? The observer effect, how empaths can alchemize and escape narcissistic abuse with the observer effect, right? So if you've ever been curious about quantum physics and how quantum physics can help you escape narcissistic abuse, this is what we're here for. This is what we're going to go into. We're going to go into this. We're going to break this down and you get to see what I want. So come on in. The observer effect. How the observer effect can help empaths escape narcissistic abuse. Tell somebody to tell somebody. Thank you, Crown DNA. Tell somebody about this live. Come on in. And if you know anyone who's suffering in hell, this is the place to be. Because together we're going to break this down. So let me turn down the volume of this and get started, right? Lucid Girl, I appreciate you. So first of all, I am Nana Gyesie, Dr. Nana Gyesie, your resident shamanic leadership guide and coach. And today we're going to talk about the observer effect, not as a curiosity, but really as a principle of liberation, Cheza, a principle of alchemy, and a principle of self-sovereignty for empaths waking up from narcissistic abuse. Now, you've often heard the saying that energy flows where attention goes. This is what we're talking about today, and we're going to go deeper. And what we're going to cover is what is the observer effect? How does it operate unconsciously in your life? How does it keep you bound to narcissistic systems, right? How can you use boundaries? And most critically, how can you weaponize this principle of the observer effect for your own transformation and ascension, Tressa. This is what we're going to go into today. So, if this is what you're here for, then this is what's going, cat. This is all we're doing today. We're demystifying this concept of the observer effect and making it real so you can free yourself. So let me start with what the observer effect is, and I'm going to, I'm going to go into this in great detail, right? And evoking belonging. Don't you know you're the greatest weapon, and this is the greatest weapon of love? You know this. So first of all, the observer effect originates from quantum physics, most notably what's called the double slit experiment. And in the double slit experiment, right? Dawn Marie, greetings. In the double slit experiment, it basically says when electrons are not observed, they act as waves, probability fields of infinite possibilities. So let me give you an example. Do you have a car? If you're in the United States or wherever you are, can you see your car if you're in your home? And if you cannot see your car, it does not exist until it is observed. Because when things are observed, they collapse into particles and become a single fixed outcome. Hi, Eve. So your car does not exist until you wake up, open your eyes, and observe it. It's there as a concept, but doesn't exist in reality, right? Hey, Sandy. So let me go even deeper. This phenomenon I'm sharing, Maya, you got it, it shakes the very foundation of classical reality, meaning the act of observation itself determines which potential outcome becomes manifest. This is very important if you're escaping a narcissistic relationship. This is not philosophy. It's a measurable effect that was described as the quantum electrodynamic QED as theorized by Richard Feynman. But I'm going to tell you, make it more practical for you. See, this observer effect is also proven in neuroscience because neuroscience reinforces this through the principle called neuroplasticity. What does neuroplasticity mean? It means when you observe your thoughts or emotions with sustained attention, you are literally rewiring. And I want to hear from you, Eve. So we'll take some questions very soon. And this will hopefully answer some of your questions. When you sustain your attention, you're literally rewiring your neural circuits because the neural circuits form what is called the default mode network. And the default mode network is your brain on autopilot. And that brain on autopilot is only disrupted by mindful observation, the observer effect. At the biological level, somebody tell me I'm not just talking to myself. I always like to know, because I can't see everybody. I just want to know that what I'm talking about right now is making sense to you, right? So let me know. Hiram Abiff, respect to you. Yes? Very powerful. So at the biological level, you're right. This is what Neville Goddard talks about with inspired action, Noko. So let me go into more detail. I know you're here, Maya. Now, observation triggers a cascade from the prefrontal cortex. Okay, I'll turn the music down, but come on, flow with it sometimes. Sometimes the music is loud, it is what it is, but I appreciate the feedback, right? So, specifically, observation triggers a cascade from the prefrontal cortex to the autonomic regulation, meaning that anything you observe from a calm perspective activates the vagus nerve, which regulates our feeling of safety or threat. Now, spiritually, right? Spiritually, thank you. Spiritually, in the Buddha Dharma, for example, thank you, Denitra. Thank you, Noko. Thank you. First of all, in the Buddha Dharma, this is central to the practice of vipassana. Vipassana means insight, which is the cultivation of dispassionate observation, which crumbles Maya. Maya, you and I have talked about this before. Maya, it crumbles the illusion. Similarly, in Christian mysticism, It echoes the exhortation to be still and know that I am God. The reason why it stretches around your neck is because it's internalized and you're not still, Eve. And I want to hear from you, Eve. Again, be still and know that I am God. That's Psalm 46, verse 10, which suggests that observation dissolves separation and reclaims unity. Come on, somebody, tell me if I'm making sense. And I'm myself, right? So if this connects with you, I'm glad you're here. If it doesn't connect with you, I'm just being myself, and I hope you just be yourself too. Now, in Hermeticism, it goes even further, and it says exactly like a butterfly in a cocoon, Maya. Thank you, Dawn Marie. It basically says that all is mind. This is what is written in the Kabbalah or the Emerald Tablets. All is mind, meaning observation itself is participation in the mind of the divine. Observation is participation in the mind of the divine. Gratitude, I hear you. All is mind. So how does the observer effect manifest unconsciously when you don't know what this is? See, most human beings, especially empaths raised in narcissistic systems, live unaware of their observer stance. Stella. All is mental, Stella Rosa. Let me say this again. Most human beings, especially empaths raised in narcissistic systems, live unaware of the observer stance. That's right, evoking belonging, meaning that the child of a narcissist becomes hyper attuned to emotional weather patterns like facial expressions, subtle tones of voice, shifts in moods, and the constant scanning is the observer effect at work. I just said something. Am I making sense? That's the observer effect at work unconsciously. And it's that scanning that keeps you trapped and uncomfortable, Stella Rosa. This is what it is. Now, when we go into chaos theory, potato salad, I'm so sorry. When we go into chaos theory, thank you, it's DPTFW. When we go into chaos theory, we know that initial conditions dramatically affect long-term outcomes. See, maybe I remind you of your buddy Shakir because I'm a doppelganger for your awakening. 77 Health Professor, who knows, right? Again, chaos theory. Initial conditions affect long-term outcomes, micro expressions, right? So sensitive dependence on initial conditions, that becomes a butterfly effect. In other words, when your initial condition is vigilance, fear, every observation you make unconsciously collapses into more vigilance or fear. I just said something, Maya. I just said something, Tresha. I just said something, Alyssa. But maybe I'm just delusional, entertaining myself here. So you've got to tell me. I just said it. When your initial condition is vigilance or fear, every observation you make unconsciously collapses into more vigilance or fear. That's the observer effect, Ellie. That's the observer effect. Live free. That's what it is, Wendy. This is what happens. So you actually manifest more of this, right? And this is also further described, thank you, Maya, in attachment theory. How do you become attached? The avoidant or anxious attachment style is shaped by repeated observational feedback loops in childhood. When you look at somatic experiencing, oh, thank you, Danny. We're always learning. All this knowledge is based on knowledge previously created. So I'm just on the flow of knowledge, leveraging the knowledge before. But I respect and thank what you're saying. You said it, Chesa. That's exactly it. Dependent arising, Lakataya. You must be Buddhist. You must be Buddhist, Lakataya. That's very, very astute, that observation. So thank you very much. So in somatic experience, it explains that trauma persists when we continue to observe life through unresolved frozen states in the nervous system, liberated for life. This is Peter Levine, somatic experience. And what he said was trauma persists when we continue to observe life through unresolved frozen states. You see, this is the observer effect, Treasure. This is what it is. So how does the observer effect become a tool for alchemy? Well, first of all, when you come to non-dualistic thinking, there's this notion called observe the observer. And I borrow this from Jiddu Krishnamurti or even Sri Ramana Maharshi. Because in Advaita Vedanta, the central question on any journey of transformational spiritual awakening is, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And who am I is not a theoretical question. My name is Nana. I live here. I eat this in the morning. No, it is an invitation to observe the one who observes. An invitation to observe the observer. And this recursive attention breaks identification with your conditioning, with your programs. Now, when you go into the Kabbalah, observation becomes sacred when it's intentional. It's known as kavanah. And the empath can use this principle to collapse narcissistic timelines by ritualizing new observation practices like journaling, like breath work, meditative inquiry, like what we're doing here. The observer is the observed. So who is the experiencer is the experience and the experiencing. The observer is the observed and the observing. In the same way, the omnipotence of the Creator is evidence in things and life all around us. Thank you, Susie Homemaker. So when you go into the quantum realm, it is said that the observer is the magician. The wand is the attention, and the spell is belief. The observer is the magician. The wand is attention, and the spell is belief. In other words, you can collapse outcomes favorable to your healing by observing yourself as whole, even before external conditions reflected. Eve, are you still there? Did I just answer your question, Eve? You can collapse favorable outcomes to your life by observing yourself as whole, not fragmented, even before external conditions reflect your wholeness. You see, Danny? Did you get that, Danny? My brother Danny, did you see that? So here's some scientific evidence for this. The wand is attention. The spell is your inner belief. So from a neuroscientific perspective, breath awareness activates what's known as your insular cortex pathways. This is that part of your brain that's responsible for pulling in projections and perceptions of internal states. And breath awareness allows you to disrupt trauma-driven observer loops. For example, I remember being on a silent retreat a couple of years ago, and I'm just observing people bowing and doing what they're doing, and I'm judging them. Oh, why is he bowing like that? Oh, that's too much of a bow. Oh, that's performance. And as I was catching myself saying these things to myself, I became aware of how judgmental my mind was. Just by simply being at a silent retreat, I became aware of the conditioned judgments in my mind. And I was so ashamed at how much judging my habitual mind was doing. And so once I became aware of how much I was judging, guess what happened to my judgments? Because to judge another is to judge the self. And to see yourself judging the other is to see yourself judging the self. This is just a fact of observation. It's not even about being vulnerable. This is about what happens when the observer effect is activated. That no matter how good you are, you begin to see how you get in your own way. In the same way, your car doesn't exist until you look at it and say, that's my car, my house. When you're asleep, you don't know your house exists. You see? So Breath awareness enables you to see this, and it brings you into a state of coherence. Because research done by the HeartMath Institute in California show that observing your heart rate variability trains your nervous system into a state of safety. So simply by observing your breath, you begin to see how your anxiety works. And by simply observing it, you are free from being anxious in a kind of rote automatic way. You said it, Noko. So the raw truth is the narcissist does not abuse your emotions, right? Of course, you are held for your subconscious thoughts, even if you don't know what they are, because your subconscious thoughts is what's driving your conscious behavior and hence the outcomes. And particularly if your subconscious thoughts are rooted in trauma, Danny, this is what happens, right? So the narcissist does not just abuse your attention, although they do. What they do is colonize your observation. They want to be the most important person in your life. They want to be the most loving person in your life. They want to be the scariest person in your life. They want to be the person that you're obsessed with. So your attention is fuel for the narcissist. And the trauma bond with you and the narcissist is an energetic contract that says, I will watch you. I will pay attention. I will interpret you. I will collapse my reality around your moods and your opinions. And when you stop observing the narcissist completely, your attention turns inwards. Of course they do, Noko. You know this. They're all very strategic, right? The question was, do narcissists do this intentionally? Yes, they do. So when you shift in this way, when you stop observing the narcissist entirely and you start to observe yourself, you break that energetic spell. What if the actions don't equate to a person's thoughts? You see, you should be more interested in, as the saying goes, by their fruit shall they be known, not by their words. And sometimes their words can reveal them. But what a person does rather than what they say is most important. And if there is inconsistency between the two, that's your answer. So when you stop observing the narcissist completely and turn your attention within, you break that spell. So in Sufi Islam, muraqabah, this means watchfulness. But that watchfulness is about directing your awareness to the divine, not the abuser. So if you're focused on the abuser, you make the abuser your God. If you focus on the heart within you, then that becomes your God. This is the observer effect. The same thing is described in the Tao or the Tao, Wu Wei, which means effortless action, which is rooted in mindfulness or witnessing rather than controlling. Thank you, Alyssa. And in shamanic traditions, although there are many shamanic traditions, it is said, and I like to see myself operating in this integrity, that observation of subtle energy fields is the precondition for soul retrieval. So if you don't observe yourself, how can you know thyself? How can you know what your shadows are? Your shadows need your observation. Darkness needs light for observation. So as I wrap up here so I can take some more questions, the observer effect describes the principle that observation itself alters reality, and this is proven scientifically, psychologically, biologically, and spiritually. And empaths caught in narcissistic abuse unconsciously use their observer faculty to sustain toxic loops by paying attention to it. You see, I think it is, Alyssa. It really is. The question is the observer effect a part of healing from the narcissistic abuse? Yes, because you start to decenter abuse and then recenter healing. The reason why the abuse continues is the narcissist cannot reach an empath if the empath is self-loving. So the only reason why a love bombing campaign would work, Alyssa, is because I don't love myself enough. So that projection works. But if I love myself enough, I can see through what is performative, right? So it's all about seeing. And the great writer Anais Nin said it best. We don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are from our conditioned perspectives. And so the whole job of observation is to begin to see things as they are. And in seeing things as they are, that's the mystery of the whole thing. The mystery is not this Kundalini rising and 1,000 exploding suns and, just having a conversation with Shiva. No, the mystery is beginning to see things as they are. And seeing things as they are is this is the hell realm. And if this is the hell realm, then it's understandable that people become narcissistic. The miracle is to remain an empath. That is the truth of seeing things as they are. Am I making sense here? So anyone who wants to ask a question via video, you can invite yourself on TikTok and on Instagram. And on YouTube, I'm just going to keep focusing on the questions here. Thank you, Ellie. Oh, Wendy, you're so kind. You're so kind. But how is this landing for you, Vicky? What questions can I answer for you? And if you want to invite yourself on video, you can do that, or I can invite some people to come on. It's always good to get a couple of voices before we end, right? So whoever wants to come on in. Let's talk. Wagwan. What's happening in your frequency? How are you feeling? Let's get a voice or two in here. Whoever wants to come on in, right? This is what it's about. So whatever you pay attention to, you make real. I feel like I unalive and went to hell with the narcissist. Of course you did, because that was your false self, and the false self is the conditioned self. The true self is the unconditioned self. That is not dependent on the narrative that you tell yourself. You see, this is what it is. And maybe you were in the hell realm. Let's hear it, right? How did you go there? What happened? What's the story with you? Let's hear it. But the observer effect is primarily about focusing on things that are meaningful and helpful to your evolution, and decentering things that are not, right? This is the whole game. The whole game is to wake up. Hi, Alyssa. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. So tell us, what's going on with you and this observer effect of narcissistic abuse?
Well, that's what I'm currently in. I'm separated from my husband, going through a divorce, and basically I started healing. And then it's been the downside. He's like working to all his I don't know what the words are, because he just uses every type of tactic to try to lure me back in, and I'm not buying it. So I've been doing, like people have been saying, do the gray rock, no emotion, don't show any emotion to him. And that's literally what I'm doing. Unfortunately, because I've been a stay-at-home mom, and I'm financially dependent on him. So we live together, but in separate rooms. But it's been an onslaught of his tactics. So being here and learning from you has helped a lot with knowing what steps and how I should proceed.
Do you know what I'm picking up from everything you just shared?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
You're finally believing in your worth.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. I want to hear it.
That's basically when I started dating him. I did not value myself at all. Like I really didn't.
Exactly. And there's a difference between being confident, right, and being in a place of healthy self-esteem. They're different. You can be very confident without a healthy self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why you are waking up from this spell to the point where you can see his love bombing, because that's what he's doing, the hoovering and the love bombing. The reason you can see it, and the reason why you're no longer spellbound by it, is because you finally woke up from the narcissistic abuse that happened to you as a girl.
I understand.
I don't even know your story, but that's what I'm picking up on.
Yes, and that's who I'm trying to figure out, if it was my mother or if it was my father. That was the narcissist in my family growing up. So that's what I'm working on now.
Well,
to see who.
It's in some cases is both. One could be covert, one could be more malignant. In
Okay.
some cases, it might be one where the other one is codependent but still guilty. Because to still be enmeshed with a narcissist is to be subject to the domain of that demon.
Okay.
And therefore, what it does is it initiates you for a life of more narcissistic relationships.
Oh, okay.
Right? I've been divorced twice.
Yes.
Okay? Both of my parents are. So I'm speaking from experience.
Okay.
And it supports what theory is out there. It's not unique when you begin to make sense of it. But the thing you're waking up to is a life imprisonment that has lasted for many decades. And so I want to congratulate you. And you find that even your financial subjugation was part of that spiritual slavery.
It was.
And what is going to happen to you, if it hasn't started already, I'll say this, is because of this rediscovery of your sense of worth, it's going to connect you to purpose. And that purpose will be a source of abundance for you.
I'm hoping. It's been, sometimes I feel like I'm stuck. It's like I feel very stuck, but I have hope. I have hope from,
when you are stuck is proof of movement, because you cannot heal without stillness. So when you're put into timeout, that's called being in hermit mode. It's not isolation. Okay. That is where the relationship with the self is developed, in the boredom of the lengthy present moments.
Wow. Okay. I understand. I understand. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's I've been kind of hard on myself, but I'm also giving myself grace. Because I realize that it's
look. There's no doubt that your intelligence is par excellence.
Okay.
It's easy to underestimate you, but your intelligence is apparent. So you're already well prepared for your purpose. But you have the blindness of trauma still blocking it.
Okay.
And so each time you release one layer of trauma, you're getting closer to purpose. See, the journey to purpose feels like stasis, homeostasis, like nothing is happening. And in the moments where it feels like nothing is happening is where you continue to do what you're doing.
Okay.
A lot of people get lost because they expect 1,000 exploding suns and Shiva singing their name and saying, "Welcome, my child, you woke up."
Yes.
No,
yes.
A real awakening is boring and quiet. Because it's glacial. You don't see it happening. It's happening in micro moments. You don't see a child growing, but you look at them every 2 weeks and you're like, "Oh Lord, what's going on?"
Yes.
You don't see the day changing, but morning becomes afternoon, becomes evening.
Wow, that's a good analogy. I see that. That's very. I like that. I like that.
So tranquilo, be patient with yourself.
I will.
And continue on the practices. You've escaped something major.
I did. I mean, I know that you have to end soon, but I think I fell into it. I'm a 9/11 survivor, and then on top of it, I had PTSD, and I think I just fell into this relationship. Like I was in trauma.
You didn't just fall into this relationship. It was written. Because without this relationship, there's no way you'll be waking up in 2025 when the world is burning. Come on. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Okay. Okay.
There are no accidents. It's all a math equation. Everything is an algorithm. This is not my opinion. This is a Future of Humanity Institute, which was at Oxford University. Mm-hmm. It's a simulation.
It's a simulation. Okay.
So when you start to tune in, the simulations that benefit your awakening show up. And they show up as pain. Unbearable pain.
So this is all part of my growing.
How could I be sitting here with you without my divorces and all the betrayal? I'm not sitting here because of my PhD or because I worked fancy places like the Gates Foundation or the World Bank. I'm sitting here because I was crying and asking, how did I how was I so stupid not to see this? Why is everybody taking advantage of me? Where's my self-esteem? Why am I suffering? Why am I cursed? What's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. I'm not worthy.
Yes. I understand. Okay. Makes sense. A whole lot of sense. Thank you. Thank you. I did. Yeah.
I'm still speaking. I'm just not using words.
Okay.
Stop talking. This is the observer effect. The more you watch, you begin to become skillful at what not to watch because you give it life. And that's where the magic of alchemy begins. You start to manipulate waves and forms because you're following the laws of physics. Have you ever seen Wi-Fi in your life?
Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Have you ever seen it?
No. We just use it.
And then you're quite. You see, you got it. Now you're with me. Have you ever seen Bluetooth?
No, we just use it.
Have you ever seen the air you breathe?
You just live and you use it.
Yeah, there's energy on a frequency. So there's dense and light. So dense energy is me, is your laptop, is the computer. That's dense energy. Light energy is invisible, but it is all there. It's proven by science. Light energy, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. So when you start to observe, you start to see not just what's dense, him coming and going, but what's also hidden, light. I just said a lot to you.
Yes. Makes sense. Thank you.
Come back anytime. And if I ever can be of help, just book a free session on my website, innermileage.com. But you don't need to. You're on your way. And come back anytime. You're welcome back anytime. Yeah.
I will. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Blessing.
All the best.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you see, the unseen is more powerful than the seen. Yes. And it's everywhere. Dawn Marie, you heard that from Melissa. It is everywhere. You begin to manipulate waves and forms by being still. That's it. Be still and know that I am. That's what it is. That is what it is. All right. Ciao, you're still here. I can still see you. You see, a real knock is a portal to hell. You said it. That's what it is. So when you retire from paying attention to things that hurt you, they cannot hurt you anymore. When you retire from paying attention to things that hurt you, that begins to take away their power. That's the observer effect. So I don't know if this resonated with everybody, right? We'll take one more call, okay? Right? This is what it's about. Hi, Evoking Belonging, how you doing? Greetings, my Empress. So tell us about your magic with this observer effect.
Greetings to everyone tuning in from far and wide. We give thanks for your teachings, Brother Dr. Nana. I have to say that since discovering you, of course, nothing is by accident. 3 weeks ago, I have been devouring your content. And I just wanted to say that I listened to something this morning. What I find really healing and evocative about your work is that it's not only helping us understand. I'll speak for myself. I was living with a narcissist. I escaped. I literally fled my own home 6 weeks ago. The perpetrator is now in even that word, I'm actually stuttering on it because I'm seeing him differently now. Yeah. You know, he's now in the hoovering and love bombing state right now. And I'm, At first I blocked him, and then a police friend of mine said, we used to advise to block, but actually keep it open, state that you don't want contact, and then the rest is used as evidence.
That's right.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's right.
But what is also interesting for me is that I am seeing that when there is a prayer sent on one of my inboxes, or, the charge is becoming... I'm observing that the charge is less and less as time goes on, because I am taking the time to be still. Now, the question that is emerging for me in your sharing today and all the beautiful inputs from all the beautiful souls that are gathering in this moment, I don't quite see the connection, but I sense a connection. So here's the question. I listened to something this morning that you shared about mirrors and how the narcissist is sent into your life to awaken you to yourself, to your own self-abandonment. Let me tell you, if you could see me now, I would stand up and dance the same way you do it. Let me tell you, I listened to that thing twice, and I said, no, today I'm going to sit and look at the waves and listen to this again and just break this down. What?
Shalom.
That is like the deepest thing. So I'm sensing a connection, but I can't yet in this moment articulate the connection. So I think that's my question for you this afternoon. The connection between this observer effect and the mirror.
You said it. You said it. You're really. This is really powerful, sublime. Exposition. Are you there? Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Because, see, the mirror reveals what is. And the observer, in looking at the mirror, sees what is versus what they thought was. Because the conscious observer is no longer looking at the mirror expecting it to give back a distorted reflection. It is looking at the mirror for the mirror to reflect exactly what is. And
conscious observer.
Thank you. And in the seeing of what is, especially if it's unwholesome, or I'm using Buddhist words here, unwholesome, unskillful, unaligned, unbeneficial to you, in that seeing is a transmutation. And in that transmutation of that one seeing, imagine that applied to everything else you see. And when you're willing to see is how you shift your reality by observing. Because in the observation, especially compassionate observation, there is clear seeing. And in clear seeing, there is wisdom. And in wisdom, there is what Neville Goddard calls inspired action. It is the inspired action that changes your life based on the ability to see very clearly. So the mirroring simply reveals, the reason why I got married for the second time was I wasn't properly healed from the first one. So that's why. So what was it about me that made me fall for this dynamic again? Oh, my wounds around family, my wounds around fatherhood, wanting to be perfect, my wounds around, and the moment you start to see it, there is no judgment. Don't worry.
Yes.
Because you realize that the gift is the ability to see, particularly when we live in a reality that prevents us from seeing. It's impossible for the average person to see. And so when you see, it is that seeing that brings liberation. But I will also admit that for some who have not matured prior to seeing, that seeing can lead to left turns. So some of the people in sanitariums or psych wards or on the streets are people who might have taken a left turn a little too soon. Do you see? To integrate this craziness when you see it for what it is. This is the preserve of great musicians and artists. And that same meditative spirit is what we apply to spiritual awakening. There's something that happens to you when you begin to realize this is the hell realm. And if you're not prepared for it, you become angry at the world. You start to seek vengeance. But when you're prepared for it and not seeing, you begin to see how much of a spiritual gangster you are.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I think that's really powerful, and I feel that the key is, as you've been saying, being still long enough, gifting yourself that space and time to be still. I'm not quite clear on the integration. I'm still in the middle of it myself right now, but yeah.
The reason why you are in it is what the Buddha said in the language he spoke of the day. The words were ehipasiko. Ehipasiko means find out for yourself. Do not believe anything I say, find out for yourself. And it's in that finding out for yourself that you become the alchemist, the living proof. Oh, you got it. You got it. You got it. And then others assigned to you come to you to say, you've done the impossible. I see it. Show me the way.
I need that on the rewind. Make sure you put that post on.
You heard what I said. You heard it.
I need a rewind.
When you become the lighthouse to yourself, you become a lighthouse unto others. Huh? Wendy, may you always be abundant, Wendy. And to everyone who's listen. Why do you think you're the sacrificial lamb?
I see that clearly.
So embrace your sacrifice, because the sacrifice is the sacrament. The sacrifice is the sacrament. This is how you prove to the mother, father, I can hold this power and not be narcissistic. Oh, really? You can? Okay, I'm going to make you a healer. Okay, I'm going to make you a psychic. Okay, I'm going to make you a teacher. Okay, I'm going to make you a speaker. Okay, I'm going to make you a Reiki. And you can provide a healing that no one else can. That was the purpose of your pain. That was the medicine.
That's right.
I've spoken.
We give thanks.
You see me. Brother. I give thanks for you for receiving and nudging us in this deeper spiritual direction. And I was ready for it. Because, everything is a math equation, sister.
That's right. That's right. So give thanks. More oil, more grace. We give thanks.
Receive from the divine feminine, the doctor received. From doctor to doctor received. Yes. And may you always be abundant. May all of us here, evoking the spirit of the divine feminine, evoking belonging. May we all be abundant. Wendy, you've kicked this. There's the sister Wendy. Wendy, I'm so grateful to you. And I'm grateful to everybody here for the energy, for your love, for your presence, for curating the space of healing for all of us.
That's right.
So with Diane, I'm co-creating this energetic container with Diane here, the divine feminine, to balance this. May we all, Diane, may we say this together with your permission?
Yes.
May we all be abundant.
May we all be abundant.
May we all be the reason why humans believe in humanity.
May we all be the reason why humans believe in humanity.
May we transmute all the wickedness we've experienced to absolute compassion for self.
May we transmute all the wickedness we've experienced to absolute compassion for self.
May we always be joyful.
May we always be joyful.
May we all be free.
May we all be free.
May we be free from suffering and the things that cause suffering.
May we be free from suffering and the things that cause suffering.
May we hold ourselves in compassion.
May we hold ourselves in compassion.
One love.
One love.
Give thanks to the Empress Diane. Yes?
One love.
Everybody bless that love. Happy Friday. Make sure you dance at some point. You get me?
That's right.
Do something that celebrates you. Because this is how we're ending it, yeah? This is how we're ending it. Woo! One love. That's Kezanandi. Bloodline. One love, people. One love. Yes? One love. See you Monday. One love. One love. One love. One love. One love. One love.